Hey there. Words predict performance.
You already know.
My passion and my mission to help you unleash your greatness within. My heart goes out to the underdogs that's on their way. If you think you can go from good to great, okay, let's motivate. GreatnessWithin.com. TJ Hoisington. GreatnessWithin.com.
Think about that. Words are powerful. The words you speak out loud, the words you think have an effect, right? You can't always see it. It's sometimes invisible, but whatever words you speak consistently, you put out into the universe, you usually get a response equally in return. That was the whole idea of writing the book, If You Think You Can, that it all starts with your thoughts and getting your thoughts right and replacing your negative thoughts with more positive thoughts. And I want to show you exactly how this works through a model, right? With 4 steps, a model with 4 steps. But have you ever heard of the phrase, a self-fulfilling prophecy? What does that mean? What does it look like? What are the 4 steps that create this self-fulfilling prophecy that becomes your future reality? Here are the 4 steps. Imagine this flow. You have a thought. That thought triggers images and feelings, right? And based on those images and those feelings, it then governs the quality of the performance. So number 3 is performance, which then number 4 gives you a result. And here's the reality. Usually that result reinforces the original thought. Let me give you a case example. Remember when you were in school as a child? Maybe you're in elementary school or you're in middle school. I don't know. You're in school and your teacher comes to the class and says, okay, next Tuesday, everybody's going to give a research paper and you're going to present for 5 minutes in front of the room on this particular subject. What did you think in that moment? Sure, there were probably 2% of you watching this video that thought, all right, let's do this. I'm going to own it. But the majority of people, as I've taught this principle over the years, I've realized the majority of the people got nervous, right? So let's say the teacher came to you on Tuesday and you're supposed to present next Tuesday. For the next 7 days, you're worried about how you might come across, right? So you have these thoughts of worry. So think about this. You have these thoughts of worry. That's step number 1. And then you go into step number 2. What is thoughts of worry of making a mistake, of forgetting your lines, or people laughing at you, right? Whatever these images are up here, these thoughts are triggering images in emotion. So together, these 2 facets, if you will, are creating all kinds of negative energy in your system. For now 7 days, you're worried, you're thinking about how you're going to mess up, you're practicing, but you're still screwing up, those kinds of things. All of a sudden, Tuesday comes around, it's your time to present, teacher calls your name, you get up, and it's now time to perform. That's step number 3. So you get up to give your presentation, and lo and behold, halfway through, you stuttered. Or you forgot your line. And then that was the result you got. You sat down in your seat. You started to contemplate and remember everything that went wrong about that speech, how you could have done it so much better and how embarrassed you are. And what do you say to yourself? I knew, reinforces, right? I knew I'd probably forget my lines. I knew people would probably laugh at me. I knew I probably wouldn't do very well. And we just confirmed it. And it becomes a cycle. Those thoughts create our reality, our self-fulfilling prophecy, if you will. So if you want to change your daily reactions, or if you want to change your daily outcomes, right? It starts with the thinking. Pull back and ponder and think about where you want to be a month from now, where you want to be 6 months from now, where you want to be a year from now, and start putting a plan together. If you want, build a vision board. And I would just remind you, the greatest vision board is the one that you create in your mind to be able to see yourself as you're capable of becoming, even if in the beginning it feels like a lie. You play that image in your mind enough times, you'll start to believe it. And you'll start to create images and feelings that provide the energy for higher levels of performance. And what do you say to yourself? Yeah, you know it. Things work out for me. Yeah, you know it. I owned it. right? And you'll start changing your language, and that'll become a self-fulfilling prophecy. But it all starts with the thinking. You got to get the thinking right. And by the way, I would just point out in history, and whether it's World War I, whether it's World War II, whether it's Vietnam, whether it's Desert Storm in Iraq, what's one of the first things the U.S. military did? They dropped leaflets, millions and millions of leaflets out of C-17 airplanes and dumped them over the cities. What were those leaflets for? It was, well, you could say propaganda, but it were new belief systems and new ideals that the people down below in the cities could then operate from, that they could start to see what the future was, maybe a new way of looking at the world, because there were statements and ideas on those leaflets that would give a kind of an understanding of what was happening and maybe a brighter future going forward, right? A vision going forward. They do that to change the minds of people, and that happens all the time around us. So I would just say, as a side note, make sure you're listening to voices that are going to help you get to the goals you want to achieve. Because if you're filling your mind with garbage or unproductive material, you know what? It's going to show up in your behavior. And there's a lot of voices out there. So listen, I would suggest, if you're not sure, what principles you should live by, start reading books around high performance. Start reading the Bible. Start reading other religious books that have been around for thousands of years, that have given principles that still stand true today in terms of life and performance and so forth. Go study that material. Get around people that are living quality lives and that are serving people, that are happy people, and then figure out what's working for them and adopt some of those belief systems. Listen, I learned a lot when I went to work for Tony Robbins. I didn't go to him for any personal life values and so forth. I felt like my parents raised me with great ones that I've still lived by today, and I've taught my children. But listen, when I was working with Tony Robbins, you know what? Just the influence of being around Tony and being around the seminars, it raised my internal thought processes up to such a degree. I literally, when I left the company, I thought I could take on the world. In many respects, it was a little delayed, but over time, I did kind of take on my own little world, if you will. And you can do the same thing. It's all about influence, right? You often hear the phrase, you want to see your future? Look at the 5 friends you hang around. I'm telling you, it's drip, drip, drip. You can be the fastest runner in the room, but listen, if you're in quicksand, you're not going to run very fast. You're not going to tap your potential. So sometimes we got to get out of the negative conversation and the dream killers. We got to get out of those conversations and start reading books, listening to uplifting podcasts, and get around people that have a proven track record, and then be humble and coachable to learn from them, and then be willing and open to adopt some of their belief systems that may not match your belief systems, okay? And remember, there are laws of the universe, and you can try to defy all the laws you want, but in time, those laws are still going to hold true. So be careful what trendy beliefs you believe in, because there's a lot of them on social media, and get back to the fundamentals. And that's where you will find happiness long-term, rather than just pleasure right now, but pleasure and happiness long-term because of the life you have lived. All right, there's a lot of stuff in here. Hopefully it's useful for you. Now, I just invite you to go out there and unleash your greatness within.